While South Sudan is facing a host of challenges, earlier CGTN's Maina spoke to Jeremy Taylor, the Regional Advocacy Advisor for the Norwegian Refugee Council here in Nairobi, for more details on some of them.
The conflict in South Sudan has been a brutal one. And from the very moments of when this conflict started, it has been carried out against civilians. And civilians have borne the brunt of that conflict. And so the reports we're seeing now are speaking to atrocities on a massive scale. But realistically, for the situation to resolve, the leaders do need to bring themselves together. They do need to find solutions, political solutions that result in a lasting peace. And if sanctions is part of what can bring them together, then so be it.
From the atrocities and the delay in the peace deal, and of course the international frustration due to the lack of progress, is there hope for South Sudan?
We have to believe that there is hope, and the country has great potential. I was there at independence in 2011, and there was this great sense of hope and belief in the future. And I think we can get there again, but we do have to be quite realistic that practical steps have to be taken. Realistic political processes need to be completed, and people need to be allowed to return to normal lives, because the fabric of society in South Sudan is being torn apart. And we need to put in place those sort of practical solutions that can allow us to start down the road towards peace.
Now, it is said to be one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. To what extent has the warring sides failed the people of South Sudan?
The failure of leadership in South Sudan encompasses a number of things, from the violence, but also to a crippling and intense types of corruption that have undermined the ability of the state to function. So yes, I think the failure of leadership has been complete. But again, it is also those leaders that have a huge responsibility to find a solution, to find a way forward. And for them to do that, they do need to really find ways to compromise. They need to find ways to put the people of South Sudan first.
Now, moving forward, what do you think would be the solution for South Sudan? What role is NRC playing to help the situation in South Sudan?
So I think there's a number of avenues to the solutions. And the first one, obviously, is related to a political process. There does need to be a political process that is smart, that is inclusive, that is comprehensive, that addresses not only the interests of a ruling elite, but that actually addresses the real deep causes and impact of the conflict, including issues like marginalization and the extent to which people don't feel that they are connected to a state, that they're a part of a state. But more practical short-term and medium-term solutions do involve external actors like ourselves. And in that sense, we do require access to people in need. And this is one of the great challenges in South Sudan, is that humanitarian actors such as NRC face increasingly difficult challenges in accessing communities. And these challenges can range from all sorts of things, from bureaucratic constraints all the way to being physically denied access to places where there's ongoing conflict. And in those locations, we actually just can't get there. And so if access is improved, then we can come in and we can provide the sorts of life-saving emergency food supplies, emergency water and sanitation infrastructure, as well as emergency education.